Now that you've developed your strong action steps, you're going to the next step in the CQI cycle, the implement step. It's great that you've developed your CQI plan. You have checked that box in the QRIS requirements, but the implementation step is really where you can see these changes take place, where you are really making that change to see that quality improvement in your program. And this also often is where we see people falter, really, where it can be difficult because all of those day-to-day pieces happen, where you're running because there's not snack at the program for the day, or a child got hurt, or you're understaffed, and all these little pieces come up, and it's tough to really make those changes that take time. But this is really a vital part. So there's a few different things that you can do to really make sure that these changes take place. If you've created strong action steps, then you will know that there's a point person, a person who is in charge of making sure that your action steps are taking place. So that person will know that they need to take charge, and ideally they'll be in charge of making sure the action items are happening. You can also put them on a calendar. Here at BossNet, we have a group calendar, so we can all put our deadlines on them, and we can all hold each other accountable and see what's coming up next. You could also have weekly meetings where you discuss what each person's working on. You can check in, see how one another's doing, offer any support. If someone's saying, I really have been working on getting our art center put together, but I'm kind of struggling. Does anybody have any ideas to support me? You might have a goal of the month that you're working on and put it someplace visible. Maybe you have a staff lounge where you can put up the goal that you're working on that month so that everybody can keep it fresh in their mind and really keep working on it. Keeping those action steps strong, though, really will help you in making sure that this implementation piece isn't where you stumble. As we mentioned in the assessment cycle, it's important to observe and make sure that these changes that you have put in place are happening. So when we go back to our dramatic play example, think about if one of your changes that you wanted to see made was that the children were going to have an opportunity to have plays or make plays themselves. Did that happen? Go in and have some time to observe them playing in the dramatic play area. If you're worried about not making time for that, put it in your calendar so it'll pop up and say, all right, the deadline for this happening was September 2017. Maybe it was September 15th. Walk in there on September 15th and sit down for 30 minutes and really observe the kids, observe the classroom. It's important to have these deadlines and to walk into the classroom and see if these changes have been made. As you're implementing the goals, it's important to check in frequently with your staff, with the team as a whole. This can be done at individual meetings, whether that's checking in with the individual group leaders. Maybe it's saying, hey, I know that in your classroom you were working on creating a private area. How's that going? Have you implemented it yet? Do you need any support in it? Let's go look at it. Or sitting down in the group meetings and saying, hey everybody, we'd really talked about really working on learning all of the parents' names. How's everybody doing? We talked about testing one another, kind of quizzing each other. Let's do that right now. We're taking 5 minutes. All right, who can tell me Timmy's mom and dad's name? Let's go. So take the time to reflect with one another and really spend time checking in, because that's the only way it's going to get done. Like I said, it's very easy to create that CQI plan, to check that box, and then to put it away, because it is a lot of work to really create continuous quality improvement in a program, because that really is a sign that you are moving forward, that you are creating a quality program. So it's important to implement those action steps that you've spent all that time creating. So check in with your team, see how they're doing, spend time talking about it so that you can see those changes that you are so excited about implementing. That's how you're going to see that change. That's how you're going to see that improvement. Now that you have implemented your action steps, you are on to the final piece of the CQI cycle, reflection. Massachusetts QRIS requires that the CQI plan be reviewed 1 time per year, and I would honestly suggest it be done more than that. But the CQI plan does provide you with a nice list of reflection questions that can give you an opportunity to really think about the action steps. And once you've completed them, how did you do? So the reflection questions are, was your result achieved and your desired result? And if not, how could you modify the action steps in order to reach that desired result? Or maybe even, did that result change? Did you change your mind about what you really wanted to change? And have there been any changes that affected your action steps? Maybe you got a new building, and so your activity centers changed entirely. It just depends. As you're thinking about when you're going to do these reflections, just do whatever works best for your program. Maybe you have weekly staff meetings and you really do have the time to sit down and work on doing these reflections. Or maybe you meet quarterly and really spend some time talking about QRIS. That'd be a fantastic time to do these reflection questions. But do whatever works best for your program. As you're working through these reflection questions, you're really thinking about, you are at the end of the cycle, and it is a cycle, so you're going to move right on forward towards developing new plans. So it is exhausting, and it is a cycle, and it's going to keep going, but it is an important time to sit back and think about congratulating yourself and your team on a job well done. So take pause and congratulate yourselves, appreciate your team, and take some time to celebrate. And think about how you're going to appreciate your staff and say thank you. I know that staff appreciation can be tough depending on budget, time, and that people like to be appreciated in different ways. You might want to bring in coffee on early mornings. You might want to give people, let some people off a little early on, Friday or after a long day. You might bring in lunch for everybody, or maybe you plan a group outing. It just depends on how your team likes to be appreciated and what you have the ability to do for them. But it's important to take this time to say thank you to everybody, to get everyone that motivation and that excitement, to give you the momentum to move forward, to see how you can learn and grow even more so that you can develop a new exciting plan and new action steps to implement, and see how you can really build even more quality in your program and benefit the kids in your community even more.